Hey guys, Scarlett here, the creator and founder of Wonder Curl, and I have the beautiful Salima with me. So, Salima, before we get into your hair care routine, let me know a little bit about your hair.
Okay, my hair texture is, I would say my hair texture is, I don't know.
It's funny because a lot of people, when I ask them, they're
Yeah.
like, I don't know. How do I know my porosity? So, this is actually pretty good because a lot of people are just like you,
Mhm.
where they have some idea of their hair, but they don't know what's going on. Just looking at it, it looks like your hair is like a cross between 3C, because you have like some looser curls back here, like a 3C, and then like a 4A in the front. And I'm sure it's probably like all different throughout. You might notice that certain parts of your curls are a little bit tighter than others. Right? And then your hair is dense, meaning you have a lot of hair.
Okay.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
And so once I get your hair wet, we can determine the porosity of it because it's hard to tell when your hair is dry. So we'll get it wet and we'll see how your hair is absorbing water. Because sometimes products, or if you have product buildup, you won't be able to see how your hair is absorbing water because you've got the products kind of like, obstructing that. And you've washed it already. So we're just going to give it another wash, get it nice and wet, and then we can check and see. And as we go along, we can say, okay, this is your hair.
Yeah.
This is your hair story.
Okay. Let's
Let's do
tell the
it.
story.
So you were asking me about the temperature of the water when you're washing your hair. Now, I've heard all kinds of information. Like some people say that you should use cold water to rinse your hair, or you should stay away from hot water because it's very drying. So, what the research has shown is that one, you don't want to rinse with cold or cool water because it's not going to clean your hair the best. And the researchers, they kind of theorize that, like, when you have condition in your hair, if you're using cool or cold water, it freezes up the molecules. And when your oils and butters get cold, they turn into a solid.
Yes.
And so it doesn't rinse out as easily as if you were using warm water to rinse your hair.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think like the other thing, I just say like, use whatever temperature of water you're comfortable with. At the end of the day, like I don't want to take cold showers ever.
Yeah.
Like not even on purpose. So if you're comfortable using hot water, go right ahead. I personally don't think it makes a difference. What's really going to make a difference in whether your hair dries out or not is going to be the products you're using and how you're drying your hair. That makes most difference.
Okay.
So we got your hair nice and wet. So we're going to go in first with the detoxifying shampoo bar. It's going to clean your hair without drying it out.
Okay.
And I highly recommend always cleansing your hair. Even if you don't use the shampoo bar, you want to use some sort of shampoo that is cleansing, not hydrating, not moisturizing. Contrary to popular belief, the only time you need to use like a hydrating shampoo or like a low poo is if your hair is high porosity damaged. But if your hair is not damaged in any way, then you need to clean your hair, or else that's how you get product buildup. So that's why I always recommend shampooing it every single week, especially if you're someone that you're using products on your hair, and like 90% of us are, then you want to make sure you're cleaning and removing that off of your hair.
Yeah.
So we're going to section your hair because if not, we're not going to get into the middle parts of your hair because again, your hair is very dense. And I say that like as a person with dense hair myself, like I get it. I get it. And sometimes we want to rush through the process. And I find that sometimes we don't get into the middle of our hair if we're not sectioning it. So if you have a lot of hair like Salima, you want to make sure that you have your clips handy. So it feels like right now, just at first glance, your hair is probably like between medium to low porosity. But we'll know more once I get like shampoo and in my experience working with different hair types or porosities, I should say, like usually the center of the hair tends to be like the densest part. And like and the most low porosity, or the least porous, I should say. Okay, so we are gonna go in with some
Yeah, like feels dry, my hair.
but don't you worry. What people don't realize, like they're afraid to shampoo their hair because they're like, well, my hair is dry. I don't want to shampoo it and make it drier. But if you're not shampooing your hair, when your hair shampoos takes in a shampoo really quickly, it's not going to, you're not going to remove all of the oils and the buildup from your hair. Also, you're not going to help the cuticle to lift, to absorb moisture. So I say, like, the longer you go without shampooing the hair, the more you're denying your hair hydration.
Oh, okay.
Because that's how you get your hair hydrated, is by cleaning it, shampooing it. That allows the cuticle to lift so you can absorb moisture. So now I'm doing the back, but I'm going to just put this here next. I really want to like foot. So when you're shampooing your hair as well, just work as you see or feel, you probably can't see, in the direction of the strand. So you want to move down, right? Up, you want to always work from the roots down.
Soak in all the moisture.
Yeah, that, and it also, that's how you get more tangles. So we're going to take your shampoo bar, and just the same way you would use it on your skin, like when you're using soap, when you're washing your body, you're just going to rub it along your hair. If you want to, you can even get into the scalp because you want to clean your scalp. So we're just going to run it across as your hair is soaking wet. So you would do this in the shower.
That smells good too.
Yeah, it just has like a nice, clean fragrance. So we're just rubbing it along, and then we're just going to get a good lather going and just make sure we clean and get into the scalp. Because I think a lot of times we forget to clean the scalp. And when your hair is this dense, you might want to work in smaller sections as well. If you need to add more water, pay attention to what your hair is needing in that moment. You really want to get into the hair and make sure you're cleaning all parts of it. Recommend you should be washing your hair at least every 7 days.
Okay.
If you maybe you had like a special occasion and you had to put a lot of product in your hair for a certain hairstyle, you might need to do 2 shampoos, If you wait an extra week and you're like, okay, you didn't wash your hair for a couple of weeks, you might need to do a second shampoo, because sometimes you might notice the first time you don't get a good lather, and that's just the soap is binding to the dirt and the oils, and that's going to take off like the first layer. So you might need to do like a second shampoo just to get that good lather. And I always prefer a squeaky clean. Like, to me, if it's not squeaky, it ain't clean. So just make sure we get the back of your hair, but I feel like we're like in there. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and rinse. I also find that when your hair is like, when you start whatever style you're doing on freshly washed hair, it always just feels better. It comes out better, in my opinion. Like, the hair just feels a lot juicier and happier. And that's because it's absorbed as much water as it needs. Your hair is definitely like medium. It's not low porosity, but it's not like super medium. It's like a nice mix of the two, I think, where it looks like it absorbs the water, but it's still...
I feel like it absorbs the water, but it's dry.
So the dryness can, like right now, your hair feels so good. If you want to touch your hair and feel how, like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Does your hair normally feel this clean when you wash it?
I really, not really.
But you see, like, it didn't take that much time and effort just to get your hair nice and clean. So now we're going to section it again. So next I'm going to use the restoring hair treatment on you. And I'm just going to use it as a regular rinse out, not a deep conditioner, because your hair is not damaged. You don't need it. Really, all you just need is, like, now that we've shampooed, you always want to follow up with a conditioner. And this is where we will do the detangling process.
Okay. Now, deep conditioning is for damaged hair only?
Damaged hair, yes, absolutely. And by damaged, I mean like if you've over processed your hair, like say you decided you wanted to go blonde one day,
Hmm.
and then now through the process of coloring your hair, it makes it more porous. So then your hair has a harder time locking in or holding in the moisture. So then that's when you would want to start doing deep conditioning treatments. Otherwise, if you're about to blow out your hair, maybe you want to do a deep conditioning treatment before and after, or before you go into a long-term hairstyle.
Hmm.
And that's just because, like, you're not going to be washing your hair as often, or you're drying your hair out even more.
Oh.
So then you'll want to do something to like replenish what you've lost over that time. Okay, so we're going to just add some of the conditioner to your hair. And then we're going to detangle your hair while you have the conditioner in it. And that's the only time I recommend detangling, is when your hair is wet with conditioner. I know some people, they do dry detangling. Some people recommend using conditioner and then shampooing, like putting conditioner first, then shampoo, then conditioner again. And I don't say any of that is wrong. You just want to test these things out to see which one works best for you. But
Sure.
when it comes to like certain things like that, it's really going to come down to your preference and what you feel works best for your hair. Like if your hair is super dry, super tangled, you might need to condition it first.
Yeah.
But like for you, I just went in with shampoo, conditioner, and your hair is fine. And it is like absorbing the conditioner beautifully. But it does feel like your hair dries fast too. Like already, I'm like, oh, let me hurry up and put more product. I might need to add more water to your hair on the other side. So, how often do you normally wash your hair?
About every 2 days. And
Okay.
I don't even use a lot of product,
Okay.
but it's just, I like that fresh hair look.
I understand. And your hair is in a nice shape that you get to wear like that afro so that you can kind of get away with that. But are you just wetting it every day? Are you shampooing it every other day?
I just wet and go, and then sometimes I wash and go.
So you don't use any kind of heat? You're not using a diffuser?
No. Yes. Because it dries very quickly.
I think that works now because your hair is shorter.
Hmm.
But since you want to grow your hair out, I would recommend maybe getting a diffuser
Hmm.
to dry your hair,
Oh.
because you'll notice. And then when your hair gets much longer, you might want to invest in a hooded hair dryer if you don't have
Okay.
one already, just because like you're not feeling the effects now, but over time as you're air drying your hair, and when you use product, it does take it longer to dry because you're locking in that moisture. So you can end up over moisturizing your hair, and then you'll notice that over time you'll have like little stringy ends. You'll be like, why is this end just kind of like sticking out doing its own thing?
I had it in the front before,
Uh,
and I had to cut it out.
yeah, and you're like, I don't get it. I
Yeah.
haven't used any heat. I don't have heat damage. Why does this do that?
Yeah, 'cause that's funny.
That's from the air drying.
Oh.
But people don't realize that. They're just like, why is it like that? So you've noticed that you've had that, and you're probably like, why did that even happen?
That's good to know, because I really didn't know why.
See, I didn't even know you, and I was like, I bet you get a whole lesson here today too.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna saturate your whole head. Just make sure your hair's saturated with the conditioner.